Hi, it's John from North Star Nursery, Garden and Home, your coastal gardener. This is the video about Abutilons, commonly known as flowering maples. A lot of people love these. I adore them. I think they're gorgeous. This one is called Tiger Eye. It's one of our best sellers. It doesn't open up more than that, but what it does is absolutely stunning. Hummingbirds love these. So if you're a big hummingbird gardener, this would be a great plant to have in your yard. Now, a lot of people don't know how to handle Abutilons, and it takes a little bit of a learning curve, but hopefully I'm going to break that learning curve for you with some tips. Traditionally, they will be a shrub, quite large, quite tall. A lot of them get 4 or so feet tall or more. If you train them into a shape of some sort, which we'll talk about, or on a trellis, you can make them go even higher. So I had a client in Sonoma, and inside her covered entryway, we had trained an Abutilon on the interior wall of the outside entrance. It was a good 10 feet tall. It was tied up to a trellis. And what we did is each season we managed all of the structure to that framework that we had put up on that trellis. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today, because a lot of what this is about is making sure that you prune correctly, and they're just like citrus. They are hungry hippos. So they do best with more regular fertilization. I have noticed that at my house. I have 3 of these guys that I trained into trees that are about 4 feet tall. And this spring, when they were starting to emerge, they just weren't quite doing it. And I thought, they really need fertilizer. I put some fertilizer on those guys and they exploded. So they definitely do better with regular fertilization. And we'll go over the fertilizers later. So pruning structure-wise depends on how you want to keep the plant. This is a plant that's in a 1 gallon. We shifted it from a 4-inch pot. And what I usually do on the ones that I have at home is I prune to 1, 2, or 3 nodes out. Because what I want to do is try to keep the shape good on this and keep it dense. So I'm going to go through, I know that just seems sacrilegious, I just cut the flower off. And I'm going to take and get rid of all of the interior stuff and prune to outside nodes, and then eliminate anything that's crossing over. Now, if you don't want your Abutilon to have a lot of branch structure down low and you want it up high, just strip those little guys right off. They pull right off very easily. And honestly, I think sometimes stripping these guys is the best thing in the world because they relief out beautifully. Now, if you're pruning it hard like this, do not expect it to do it without fertilizer. So when you're done, do those pilot holes that we talk about with your husband's favorite screwdriver or a chopstick or anything to make a pilot hole, wiggle it around, and then take a spoonful of any fertilizer you have. Anything's better than nothing. And put it in those holes and then water it and then stand back because it's going to grow. So what I did at home was I took a plant like this, I stripped all the lower leaves off and cut. Unfortunately, when they propagate them, they don't make the stem totally straight. So if you're going to be a little bit upset about a wonky stem, this may not be for you. But what I do is I then take a stake, tie it up, and I leave this growth node available so it can keep getting taller. Then once it gets to the height I want, I can clip it and then let it start actually branching out. So this one had to be stripped because it wasn't looking so hot. And so what we're going to do is, actually, I know this seems weird, I'm going to get rid of the new growth. Part of the reason why I'm going to get rid of this new growth that's pointing out is that it doesn't focus on that shape that I want, which is kind of a head. So I'm going to get rid of that so that these all can grow in at the same rate. Again, fertilizing is essential with these guys. There is a range of colors. There's rose, there's pink, there's yellow. There's this guy is one of my favorites just because it's got gorgeous variegated foliage. To me, this in a shady garden would just be stunning. Unfortunately, just an FYI, they are not deer resistant, so sorry about it. I have mine outside where the deer do browse, but I spray it with liquid fence once a month. So just consider that. There's another one. This is Abutilons thomsonii, and there's another one that's a white and green variegation. This one's yellow and green. So quite a few different varieties. We usually have about 7 or 8 varieties on hand, either in 4-inch pots. We do have probably 3 or 4 in 4-inch, and then we probably have 5 or 6 or so in 1 gallons. They might cross over variety-wise. Fertilizer. So it's a lot of different things you can do. They're definitely acid-loving. If they're in the ground and you have our soils kind of organically acidic, but if you have it in pots, you could use the azalea, camellia, gardenia food. And this is what I used on mine. I did the pilot holes. My pot's pretty big. I did 5 pilot holes and did a tablespoon in each hole. And then if it's in the ground and you have all purpose, this would work also. Basically, it goes back to anything is better than nothing. This is rose and flower, a good balanced formula. And then, of course, the maxis, acidic or just all-purpose, which is one of your pantry basics, so you should probably have that kicking around. They do get a little bit of a problem with aphids from time to time, and so you just want to check the undersides of the leaf. If you're seeing leaves below, or if you're seeing a leaf that looks kind of black and sooty, that's called sooty mold, and that's from the aphids pooping out, lands on the leaf below because they're living on the leaf above. And then what happens is the mold spores attach to that. And because it's a really high sugar content, the mold spores grow exponentially quick. So just keep your eye peeled for that. If that happens, my suggestion would be to strip the leaves that look bad, because these are really thin leaves. If it was on a citrus, I would say you could wipe it off with rubbing alcohol, but these are going to be really hard to clean off because they're so thin. You're going to damage more than you are going to make it better. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you guys are having a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at the nursery.